What's up, guys? Welcome to today's video. I want to talk about the top 3 advices I have for African entrepreneurs when you're starting a business in the African market, okay? So the number 1 I have for you is basically cut through for any kind of entrepreneur, whatever you are in the world and whatever product or business you're trying to start. The first one is mission and vision first. You got to start with the why before you go to the product itself. When you start with the product, you're actually going to be limiting yourself of what you can be able to build. And also it's going to end up limiting you on what you can be able to innovate and what you can be able to stand in the market for. I'll give you a quick example. Think about Apple, okay? Apple is a great example because their main focus is the mission and vision more than anything else. Think different. All the different Apple products they launch out there in the market, they're always revolutionary. They're always going against the system. They're always doing something that just moves the culture and makes it feel in a certain way. Now, by the way, I'm an Android person. I'm a Microsoft person. So, of course, I'm biased, but I'm telling you something here. Apple did a wonderful job of being able to take their mission and vision and put it into their products. So when a person is purchasing a product from Apple, they're purchasing the mission and vision. When investors are investing in Apple, they're investing in the mission and vision. Now, let's talk about the whole point of starting a business, right? It's being able to solve a problem and empowering people. So how's your mission and vision empower people? Think about this. When you have a mission and vision of, let's say, for example, you want to revolutionize, you're going to be able to connect people in the world. Facebook. What they were able to do is being able to go from just a Facebook, the company itself, to being able to be a much bigger company. As in they're launching satellites into space to be able to even connect more people in the world. So if Facebook they decided when they're starting off the company, we just want to be able to make a place where people socialize. Okay, then how many more companies started the same type of vision? MySpace started off earlier and fast, and they were able to be surpassed by Facebook mission and vision. Other different companies came before Facebook and they were able to outlast them. And even right now in the modern age where you have Snapchat, you have all different competitors, Facebook is still able to stay in the lead with WhatsApp, with the Instagram, with a lot of different applications they're able to launch and connecting people. They're doing virtual reality, connecting people. So what this means is when you're starting a business in Africa, you want to start from the mission and vision and then give birth to a product from the challenge that you're trying to solve in the world. And also what it ends up meaning is you can be able to innovate even further. So once you launch that first product and then you're wondering, what can we be able to innovate next in the market? You do not want to become like those earlier companies that were way earlier than Apple. Like, for example, IBM was one of the biggest computer companies in the world, if not the biggest. And now IBM is way smaller than Apple. Why is that? IBM focused so much on their product instead of focusing on the mission and vision. Let's look at Nokia, for example. Let's look at Motorola, for example. They were the leaders in the mobile industry, way bigger than Apple and the others. But guess what happened? Apple, the whole point of thinking different, gave birth to the touchscreen smartphone, to the iPod Touch. All those different products came from the mission and vision. And I don't know how much I can stress this enough. When it comes to Africa, brings me to second point here. Stop copying and pasting what the United States, what's happening in Europe, what's happening in China, what's happening in other parts of the world. Stop copying and pasting and thinking it's going to work in Africa. This is where people start from the product itself instead of actually starting from the mission and vision. When you start from the product, you'd be like, okay, let's look at the education market. Oh wow, let's look at the United States. They have this certain product, copy, paste. It would not have worked. For example, I'll give you a perfect example of what was able to happen in Africa that's revolutionizing the world itself. Mobile payment. When mobile payment came to birth, it was from, of course, if you read the whole history, Kenya was going through a civil war and people weren't able to use cash and the economy was really slowing down. So mobile payment came a way to be able to kind of break from the cash economy. They can be able to pay with mobile. But before we even think about that, if a person was thinking about how can we be able to solve that problem, they would have been like, oh, copy paste what's happening in the United States. Just basically let people send money online. Like, for example, people send money with PayPal. People send money bank to bank. All those different things. But Africa is in an awkward situation. Africa is in a very awkward situation. Africa is developing, okay? And I'm saying Africa as a continent, but I'm also going to treat it as a country at the same time. And I'll talk about that in the last, tips and tricks towards the end. But here's the reason why. Africa is in an awkward situation because we are developing as nations in between the continent of Africa, and also at the same time we have a lot of technology that's already here with us on the world stage. Compared to the United States, when they're starting off in the dot-com era, or maybe the Industrial Revolution, they were developing as a nation. Their GDP was also still kind of growing at a fast rate. And at the same time, their technology was also growing with them. But Africa, we're in a situation where we have all this technology, but our nation is still developing. So what that means is, do not copy and paste what the United States is doing with their products, or what China is doing with their products. You need to look at the African market and being able to take your mission and vision, look at the continent, look at the country you're working in Africa, and being able to customize and build something for where the country is developed at right now, but still having that grander mission and vision, right? That's how we were able to get mobile payment, and now guess what's happening? Apple is doing mobile payment. Google is doing mobile payment. Other companies, Samsung is doing mobile payment. Now they're taking what Africa gave birth to based on our conditions. Mobile payment is not really a new thing. It's the same thing as sending money via card or whatever. Guys, there's nothing new under the sun. So when you take there's nothing new under the sun and you take your mission and vision, what it means is you need to create a new version, a better version based on the conditions in Africa. That is my step number 2, and that is a very, very big deal, okay? And then number three. Okay, so this step right here is gonna be something people might think is controversial. I've talked about videos about African entrepreneurship, and then I have some people in the comment section who are like, oh, Africa is a continent, it's not a country. And I'm like, I didn't even say in the video Africa is a country. But in this video, I'm like, treat Africa as a country. I'm sick and tired of seeing entrepreneurs building a product only for their own country. I'm like, are you guys joking me right now? You literally see Africa has 1 billion people. That's a huge economy. It's set up to end up having 2.5 billion people in the future. We're about to have the youngest demographic ever. Wait. We already have the youngest demographic in the world, hands down. That is a powerful economy. And you're telling me you're gonna sit there and just build a freaking company or product just with the vision and mission? You're only gonna build it for Kenya, or just for South Africa, or just for Morocco, or just for Nigeria? Are you joking me? You need to treat Africa as a country. You need to be able to think, how can I break the borders and build a company that's gonna be able to spread across Tanzania to Uganda to other parts of Africa? Because when you do that, your company is gonna be able to be bigger. And this is the next big deal. Let's take, for example, the GDP and population. Kenya, for example, has maybe close to about 48 million people in Kenya, and then a small state in the United States has about a population of about 5.5 million people, like Minnesota, for example. Minnesota GDP is at $220 billion. Kenyan GDP is at $74 billion. Kenya has a 10 times larger population, but still you're able to produce less. Now, I'm not here trying to push Kenya down, because it's the same thing across Africa, right? We're not at the optimal level of our GDP output. So if you build a company just for Kenya, it's like you saying, hey, I'm in the United States and I'm only gonna let my company only be built for Minnesota, one state only. I don't care about other people outside. It's the same thing for China. If you decide you're only going to build your company for certain provinces or certain parts of China instead of the whole Chinese market. That's how Tencent, Alibaba was able to build their product. Because by the way, China is diverse in its own many different ways. Of course, they have the advantage of the languages, but the cultures are also different in different parts of China. The economy levels are different in different parts of China. But Alibaba was able to think about how can we be able to address all of China. So it's the same thing for you as an African entrepreneur. When you're starting your business, do not think about just Kenya. Do not just think about South Africa. Think about all of Africa. How can you build a foundation of a product that can be able to take an entire continent to coexist in your application? We, as a nation, as African nation, to move forward. Now I'm talking about past entrepreneurship here. To move forward, we need to treat ourselves as one big economy. When we treat ourselves as one big economy, you know how much leverage we'll have in the world? You know how much we can be able to export from our own African nation? Do you know how much our GDP can grow faster when we're working together? And this is going to start with the people who are creating jobs. This is going to start with the people who are entrepreneurs. It's going to start with us uniting people under one umbrella, under one company. Look at Facebook. Facebook has a population of billions of people. Facebook is its own nation. Facebook is a bigger nation than freaking many countries in Africa. Their GDP, how much Facebook makes a year, is a bigger GDP output than a lot of African countries. Why is that? Facebook did not go, oh, we just targeting one state in Minnesota, or we're only targeting the United States. They went out global. So the next step after you think about Africa, going back to the mobile payment, how can we be able to take the global stage? Look at Alibaba. They're using AliExpress to be able to go to the global stage. And that's my top 3 tips for when you're starting a business in Africa. Now, this is a little quick kind of bonus side, whatever. There's a kind of other different tips I want to be able to talk about. Now, before I do that, I'm going to get a grab of water because I'm going off on this rant. 1 second. I don't even have a lot of water. Jeez. Alright, so we're back from my little mini break. Had to get a little some water. Whoo, get some breath, fresh breath, air, and stuff like that. But we just talk about the top 3 things that I think every African entrepreneur should think about when you're starting a business in the African market. Now, there's a few things I have on the bonus list, different things African entrepreneurs should also think about. So the first one I also have up there at the top is make money. Make money, make moolah. Think about profits as soon as possible, guys. Because Africa, I'm sorry, guys. I'm sorry to tell you, you should probably already know this by now. You're not Silicon Valley. I've already made a video of why Africa is not Silicon Valley, but people have not watched that. Let me quickly summarize, guys. In the United States, or maybe even Europe, especially Silicon Valley, man, you can lose $100 million every year for a good 10 years as a company, and investors will still be there to stick out with you. Try to pull the same thing in Africa. It's not gonna work. Look at Jumia. Jumia is a unicorn, right? They've been able to lose $1 billion. But why do you think they had to go public so quick? Guess what? They couldn't raise money anymore. Investors didn't want to take any more risk. So guess what they did? They went to publicly trade their company to be able to offload the risk and maybe to be able to exit if it ends up becoming not a good investment. I'm not here to talk about smack about Jumia, but we all know what's happening at Jumia. Things are a little bit rocky right now. So you do not want to base your business based on the whole notion, we're going to raise money, but we're going to lose money until we figure it out. Trust me, guys, if you're in the African market, bro, find a way to make money fast. That's the tip for you guys. Please, please do it. Making money gives you leverage. Making money allows you to be able to build your vision to a larger, like something much bigger than where it's at right now. And you'll be able to have more time, more patience to be able to do your thing instead of having investors breathing on your neck. And sometimes if your product doesn't end up doing well, like what happened to Konga, they sold it off. They sold it off to another company. They sold it at a loss because investors did not want to stick to it. Imagine you hearing Amazon got sold off in 2000 or 1998 because they couldn't be able to reach, that's kind of when they started. So maybe let's say 2003 because they couldn't be able to reach any kind of profits. Because guess what? Amazon did not start making profits until recently. So yeah, think about that for example. It's a completely different market that's happening in Africa. Now, what else can I be able to tell African entrepreneurs? The final thing is this, guys, and I'm just gonna be honest with you, okay? Do not try to reinvent the wheel. Please, don't try to reinvent the wheel. Africa is the last place we're trying to reinvent the wheel. Africa is where we need to be able to look at our current situation, learn from everything that's happened in human history, look at what's happening in the United States, Europe, China, look at what's happening in South America, look at what's happening around the world. And just ponder and think of what's now happening as a problem in Africa. And then being able to take your mission and vision, your passion, your excitement, your energy, and then being able to build something based on not being able to create a new form of a wheel. Okay? Don't try to reinvent the wheel, but find a more efficient way, affordable way for the consumers in Africa to access that same wheel. That's the number 1 tip. I already gave you the number 1 tip, and number 2, and number 3, and number 4. That's the number 5 tip, I think. We're at number 5 right now, I believe so. That's the last tip I have for you guys anyway. So I hope this video was able to help you. Guys, I am energized. I'm beyond excited because I'm about to apply all this different knowledge I just talked about. Matter of fact, I'm already applying it right now as we speak. And now I'm even pushing it even harder, okay? Thanks for watching the video. I'm wishing you all the best and success in your hustles. Peace to the out.